And I'm more of a realist, but I'm on the same time, I'm an extremely hopeful. I'm a positive as well. So I'm not gonna be the one that sit up here and say all of you guys are gonna make $250,000 this month. If you wanted to do that, I could show you exactly what you needed to do that, but it's up to you to actually do that. That's the difference. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to follow up this conversation here. But how many of you have been in the insurance industry for under 6 months? So if you guys that have been in here below 6 months, right now, you typically don't know what you don't know. We're somewhat excited, but we're somewhat nervous. We see the potential and we love the people we're with, and we're doing everything we can to stick with it. But at the same time, we have this fear of failure. We have this anxiety. We have this home life need of, I have to pay my own bills. I have to figure this thing out. I'm not making as much money as I thought I was going to make at this point. Now, how many of you guys have been here maybe 6 months to a year? So this group of people is slightly different. Typically, we've either A, had the opportunity based upon our own personal finances or past experience to take a little bit more time to get rolling, have a little bit less pressure because of maybe some other job that we had that we were able to put a little bit of money back into this transition, or maybe we had some other sort of sales experience that gave us a little bit of boost. It allowed us to relieve a little bit of anxiety. But here's the truth. For you guys that have been here a year, you know you can do it sometimes. Some weeks you feel like you're brand new and you may never sell another policy again. But you also know when you have momentum on your side and you're rolling, you also feel like this is my career forever, and I can see a path where I can make two, three, $400,000 easily on my own pen without just doing what I'm doing now. We have drastic swings emotionally and financially in this stage. How many of you guys have been here from maybe 1 year to like 3 years? So what you notice here, these are some of your consistent people on the leaderboard month over month. I'm not saying they're the number one producer every month, but they're up there every single month. And we must ask ourselves why? What is it? What's different? They've been through the trials and tribulations. More importantly, they know what they don't know and they know what they need to work on to get to the next level. They've done enough to maintain, but now it's really gearing up to how do I thrive and what is my steps to take this to the next level. In all of these categories and groups, we all have one thing in common, right? We all want to succeed. We want this opportunity to learn. We want this opportunity to grow. But the biggest factor in every single one of us that affects our speed and ability and our mindset to grow is our personal finances and our money, right? It is. But we have to have reality on it for now. And I will say that for now because we have to really have this discipline. And I'm going to kind of do a quick review of kind of what we talked about. And then I want to dive into a little bit of if we can actually be disciplined on understanding we're investing in this business and really growing, it really is going to take us to the next level. Second. So this is something that I want to dive in and we're going to talk about, but just not yet. We're going to talk about where your money goes, how your money flows, when do you spend your money, where is your money, how much do you pay yourself? Because I would probably imagine, and I turned that quick so you guys didn't start studying and you stayed listening to me. But how many of you guys wish you got paid the same every week and it was a healthy amount? How many of you wish that you didn't feel as if every sell or every lead, if they bought or didn't buy, it was going to affect your mood? It was going to affect your ability to pay your bills. It was going to affect or change the goals that you have set for that month or that year. We naturally want that. We want the entrepreneurship mindset. We don't want to be put in the box. We want to remove that ceiling and bust through the roof. But at the same time, we want a floor, but not just any floor. We would also like to have a floor that kind of elevated with us and just kept going and gave us that security blanket, right? Reality, when we come into this business, when we're starting our own business, right? We don't have that. We can. We don't have it initially. We have to be disciplined and we have to create it for ourselves. Because if we work for another company or somebody else, they don't have it either because they are the entrepreneur. They are the one, the business owner. They have created that safety blanket. They have created that floor for you, the same as you can create it for yourself, but it's going to take work. We can't expect to come in this and we want to get paid for what we're worth, which we all feel we're worth up here, right? And to get paid consistently every week, regardless of results. We want to be able to do all that, but we have to earn the right to do that. So, a quick review because everything goes back to I'm not just going to teach you guys how to manage your money and how to flow your money, how to pay your taxes, when to pay your debts. I'm not just going to talk about that. We have to talk about the foundation of what we're doing here. And understanding the opportunity that you guys have in life insurance is unbelievable. But so many times when the different stages of agents that move into this, whether you're, 0 to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, over a year, 1 to 3, or 10 plus, or 100 plus, right, Tony? Like, like understanding the opportunity that we have. We forget that so often. We say, "Oh, yes, I can make 30,000 in a month." Okay, that's great. So why am I not making 400,000 a year? Because I'm comfortable with the 60. You can make 30,000 a month, but you end up making 60 a year. That's not the opportunity that we signed up for. That's not the opportunity we have to make a difference in other people's lives. That's not the opportunity that you're telling yourself and your family that you're going after. We're not excited about the potential. We want to actually see it in our pockets and our wallets. And I can't imagine if you don't. If you don't, talk to me and Jalen. We'll put you on a 0% contract and we'll have those commissions flow to somebody that actually will use them, right? But we have to understand our opportunity. It's not just about finances, guys. It's the foundation of who we are. It's the foundation of the opportunity we have today that who knows what will happen? Who knows if you get sick? Who knows if you go deaf and you can't call anybody anymore? Like, we can't be so comfortable to the fact that next month, next year in life insurance, I'm going to take off and do great. Why not be great now? And we have to focus on that. Then, when we make money, we have to know how to use the money and have the money make money. But most importantly, if we know we need a foundation, we need to take advantage of this opportunity. We can't let this opportunity slip away. We can't let our anxiety and our worry and our fear take away our opportunity. We can't let that affect the way we call our next client. And ultimately, we do all of that. If we can put that in order, what our goals are, what our vision for ourselves is going to come to fruition. I know Deanna likes nice things. We've done training calls and she showed me vision boards and she wants these things, right? And I want her to want these things. I want her to earn these things. I want her to have these things. I want all of you guys. I remember having conversations with Ethan and his situation and what he wants to do. I promise you, he's not comfortable where he's at the moment. We want these things, but the truth is, we can't even begin to dream the proper way because we don't understand what's possible for ourselves because of our fear and anxiety and money management and being so drowned in our current situation we can't even embrace what we have in front of us. So to fix your finances, I'm not saying do this with your dollar. I'm saying fix your mind. Let's get our foundation set right so that we have the finances that we can manipulate and fix that makes everything come into fruition. That's what we're going to talk about. So understanding our opportunity, we need to understand what insurance actually is. We're going to understand why it's important and what market you actually serve. This may seem elementary. This may seem simple to you guys, but if you want to make more money, you have to learn how to solve more problems. So, whose problems are there? The bigger problems you solve, the deeper emotional problems that you solve for people is worth more money. People are willing to pay more money to solve bigger problems. I'm not talking about calling people and trying to take orders. If you understand what I'm saying, people have insurance for a reason. People need insurance for a reason. If life never happened, if the bucket never fell out for people, if surprises and accidents and misfortune didn't happen for family and death, then nobody would need insurance. If we all knew the day we were going to die, we would all be able to save up that exact amount of money to pay for it when we needed to pay for it. But that's not how life works. There's uncertainty, there's health scares, there's car wrecks, there's accidents, there's health issues, there's diagnosis that happens. And because of that, there's devastation. There's families not able to take care of stuff. This is our profession, guys. We need to understand all the issues that can happen, all of that vulnerability and fear, not that you have worrying about paying your bills, but your clients have about figuring out how they're going to cover the bills that they didn't even create, right? We have to understand what this insurance is due, what it's meant for, who is it meant for, why is it actually important? Regardless of what segment of business you're in, I need you to know your client better than they know themselves. If you want me to come on here, Jalen and Mike want me to come in here and talk about dollars and money for you guys, I can't tell you how to move your money if you don't have any. We have to understand your focus isn't, oh my gosh, I have a chargeback. Your focus is, how do I learn more about this market that I'm serving? How do I care more about Mr. and Mrs. Jones? How do I understand and ask better questions to let them know that I actually care about them and I'm trying to help them fill the void or the vulnerability or solve their problem? Because at the end of the day, that's going to make the difference in their family's life for generations. And if they know that I care enough to continuously pursue that and follow up on that, it's going to generate referrals, it's going to generate more people, and all of a sudden I'm become a difference maker, and then my finances become different. It's not the other way around. My finances don't become different, then I become a difference maker. So we have to start with this foundation. It is absolutely crucial. Why do they need your help? Ask yourself that. Our goal is not to pound some names and phone numbers on some leads and seeing if anybody wants to take an order for insurance, and then we're crossing our fingers that they're going to hold it for 9 months. That's not what our goal is. If you take care of people, they'll take care of you. I promise. I promise. So we have this idea of time and money, right? Everybody wants time and money. Would you agree with that? Which means you have plenty of money and free time to do what you want with it. I'm not saying you're running a factory and you're working 84 hours a week and you make a huge salary, but it does you no good because you can't do anything with it. Money doesn't do anything for you. It's a means to transfer. So we know and we agree that we're in a pursuit of time and money. And that's why we come to this opportunity. Wherever you were before, you either didn't make enough money or you didn't have enough time. No matter what your situation was, it's time and money that we're pursuing. But we have to earn the right and pay our dues to get time and money. But right now, guys, it's time or money. We understand that in this life insurance, we understand we're attracted to it because we feel that we have the opportunity to make as much money as you can. And by the way, it is absolutely true. But we also know there's an opportunity, and it's okay. It's an opportunity to make the same money you made before, but now you have 60% of your time back. If it's to spend time with the families or be flexible, we do have that opportunity, and that is fine. But one thing we don't have, guys, if we don't have money, I promise you, you have time. If you don't have money, you have time. And what I mean by that, you could say if you don't have money and you don't have time, then we need to have a different training on priorities because we are not being able to spend time with our family, spend time with the loved ones we want to change their life because we're not making money. That is a spiral that's going in the wrong direction, and we need to get that fixed quick. If you don't have money, right? Oh, but Jalen and Mike say I need to buy this many leads. Tony G's doing this. I want to have the same success as him. But I don't have the money to put into the resources he's doing. Guys, if you don't have money, you have time. That means you have to have hustle. That means you have to think outside the box. That means you can go and wherever you live and call every single senior center and say you want to do free educational seminars on Social Security, on retirement, on final expenses, on preparing for your families. They are looking for things to offer services to their people that live there. You can go to the libraries. You can go to trailer parks and start door knocking, let them know that you're the new representative for this area, and it's your job to make sure everybody understands the new state regulated final expense programs for 2026. And we wanted to introduce them in case they had questions in the future that you would be the one to reach out to and call. There's so many opportunities. You have family, you have friends, but guess what? It's not crazy. All you have to do is be able to drum up one or two policies to pay for an entire lead batch for you to get 100 leads and then take advantage of the 100 leads. We're not saying you have to do these senior centers and you have to volunteer your time and you have to knock on random neighborhoods and doors for months over months. We're looking for a couple policies to then put in the machine and bet on ourselves. If we want time and money, we have to put in time to get money. And then we use the money and the time together to create something that's going to give us time and money together. We have opportunities. We just have to decide if we really want it or if we don't really want it. We have to absolutely believe in ourselves. We talk about what is belief. It's trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. The beautiful thing about a team, guys, is Carrie Ann, you don't have to have all the confidence yourself. Because I bet some days you don't. I bet a lot of days you don't. But when you have a team and you have a support system, you have a backbone, you can get on a call and guess what? You can borrow Tony G's confidence. You can borrow Michael Bonds. When you see other people's success and you're wrapped in that and you have the ability to learn from them, mentor them cheer you on, and what you guys have collectively, belief can be borrowed. And I'm telling you, borrow every bit of it. Because if you try to, but you have to implement. If you don't implement, that borrowed belief would run dry. And you'll think that everybody else can do it. They're special. They were born different. They have a different personality. This isn't cut out for me. I don't have the right thing. And I'm telling you guys, that is not true. Every single one of you are 1,000,000% capable of doing this. When I jumped into insurance, I didn't want to sell and I didn't want to travel. I immediately started door knocking places at a 40% comp with one insurance carrier 3 hours away from the home, staying in the most raggedy hotels you could possibly imagine. So raggedy, I took a single high air mattress and put it on the floor with my own sheets because those beds were nasty. And I did that to save money. It was different. However bad you want it, it is all that matters. When we're talking about that, you have to be able to put in the work and you will create your own confidence. Confidence is the memory of success and the wins you have. The wins is the decisions you have to hustle. It's not always the applications that you write. So we need to believe in ourselves. What makes you uniquely qualified? I was an introvert completely. I still am actually, right? You may come on here and I have the gift of gab to talk on here, but that's not the thing. One of my biggest fears of period is meeting new people and talking in front of people. Those are some of my biggest fears. Guess what I had to do when I went to insurance and knocked on people's doors? Hey, Miss Jones, how are you? My name's Zach McWayne. I'm with Senior Benefits Group. I had to do that exact thing. So how did I prepare myself? I had to get out of my comfort zone as fast as I can. I didn't allow myself to wallow in it because you know why? Because my why was strong and I needed money and I was in an apartment. I was the only one providing and I was paying off all my school loans. I didn't have a choice. You guys don't have a choice either. Sometimes we think we do, which makes us lazy and procrastinate, but we don't. We don't have a choice because we have a certain amount of time to make this thing work. Every single one of you can make it. But if I can drag you and fight with you and scratch with you and do everything I can to get you a year, I know I can get you to 2 years. And once I can get you to 2 years, I can get you to 10 years. That's just how it works. But what crushes us? What makes it so hard? What has made you want to quit in the past? When we talk about our finances, what has made you want to quit? Why is so many people here from 0 to 6 months rather than 1 year to 3 years? Why? Why is that different? Fear, anxiety, finances, feeling like we don't want to be a burden to Jalen and Mike or Michael Bond or Tony G or Patrick, whoever. We don't want to burden somebody. We don't want to ask them for advice. We don't ask them how do they do it. We don't want to come to every training. When we come to the trainings, we don't want to turn our cameras on. And when we make a sale, we've maybe made so few we don't want to post it. Most importantly is managing our finances and budgeting for leads and investment and how we're paying our bills, how we're celebrating success, but how we're grinding in our struggles. That's what makes agents fail. Here's the simplest thing. The number one reason why agents fail in life insurance is because they don't have enough time to succeed. They don't have enough time to succeed. And I'll tell you the truth. Michael Bond's seen a ton of people come and go. And if there was a way for them to have a guaranteed salary and they would automatically be here for a year, can you imagine the number of people that would be successful in insurance? It would be through the roof. So what is ripping away our time? Why do we not have time? It's because of money. And so ultimately, we're talking about our cash flow. Ultimately, we're talking about what we're doing with it, how we're generating it. And this is different. Our story is unique and different for every single one of you. You come from a different background. You come from a different job. You come from a different career. You come with different family pressures and obligations that you guys have to take care of in order to make this thing work. We understand that. There could be a young guy named Ethan, and he may only need $1,000 a week to get up and grind. And I don't know, but Rodney may need 4 grand before he's able to even do anything. We all come different things, but the truth is we know our situations, and that tells us regardless, it's up to us to figure that time out because you all can and will be successful if you give yourself enough time. The only way you're going to give yourself enough time is you're going to have to work your tail off at the beginning to cover our obligations so that we can buy time to get there. The other things that we do when it comes to finances and issues is we don't know our number. And I'm not talking about apps per week. I'm not talking about family serve. I'm not talking about the income goal you want for the year. I'm talking about Dwayne, I'm talking about how much money do you need on a weekly basis to just survive, not going to eat 4 steak dinners a weekend? How much money do you need if you had to strip everything down in your personal life to make insurance work and grind? If you committed to grinding for 1 year and you said, to your wife, your spouse, or whoever, you said, baby, this is what we're going to commit to because I can assure you, if I can just make it to 1 year, the next 40 years are set. And that's what so many people don't understand. They're like, I'm going to try insurance. I'm going to dabble in insurance. Greg, I'm going to give it our best shot, right? But I'm telling you, if you can make it to a year, then I know you can make it to 18 months. If you can make it to 18 months, I know you can make it to 24. And here's the key. If you can make it to 24, you guys will earn 6 figures for the rest of your life. And the amount above that is up to you. But I promise you, if you can make it to 24, you will make 6 figures for the rest of your life. If you guys knew that, and if you guys actually believed that, would you be willing to do anything you could for that first year? Meaning, sacrificing a couple things, changing your lifestyle a little bit, putting a little bit of effort, working on a weekend, talking to your family and your kids to dedicate that this is a grind year. This is what I'm committed to. Let them know ahead of time so they're not surprised. On these days, this is when I'm starting work. This is what I'm finishing. This is my family time I have carved out. And guys, it won't always be like this, but for now it has to be because I'm starting a brand new business. And that business has to get momentum and build up. We need to know our number of what we're making. We need to invest before you're ready. I'm not like you don't make it, Tom, by hitting a lottery ticket and saying I can buy leads now, right? We don't make it that way. We also need to invest before we're ready because the truth is you're ready before you feel that you're ready. The only thing that's telling you that you're not ready is fear and uncertainty because it's unfamiliar because you haven't done it before, not because you're capable. You can't look at the possibility of what might happen in a negative way. You have to look at everything in the past and what got you here and why you committed to start your own business and dive into this. That's what we're paying for our leads with. We're not paying for it on I better just make this. You're not going to feel ready. If you waited to invest before you're ready, your time clock would run out and you'll be out of the business, or you'll buy one batch of leads, but that one batch of leads will probably be 3, 4 months. You've been in the business before you buy it, or you've been dabbling and coming to trainings for 3 or 4 months. And the problem is all that pressure and anxiety, all that life you've lived for that first 4 months has sucked away your finances so low that your pressure is now so high that if you don't have a 500% return rate on your first batch of leads you've ever dialed, then you're out of the business. That's why you have to invest before you're ready. You have to because you have more cushion, you have more time, you have more belief. If you wait too long until you run out of opportunities, then you buy leads, Sandra, you run out of belief and confidence in yourself and you don't think you can do it. And if you don't think you can do it, you won't do it. And I don't want that for you guys. You have to invest before you're ready. That's why you need mentors. That's why you need a team. They've been here, they've done that. And the other mistake people make is they buy things with insurance money or pay off debts. And this causes major pressure, anxiety, fear of failure, all the things we talked about, and instability. That's what we don't want to make us guys fail. So what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about briefly, is we're going to talk about finding our number, setting up our accounts, and paying ourselves a salary, right? So, Sandra, if you sell 10 grand in a week, you're making the same money. If you sell nothing this week, you're still making the same money because it's predictable. You can feel it. You know your bills are paid. And there's something changes inside of us when we know we've covered our obligations. Now we can thrive because we've got out of survival mode. We got out of desperate mode. Now we can thrive. The first thing you guys must do, and hopefully some of you have done this because I know we've talked about it before, but we need to know exactly the number and you need to never forget it, that you need the smallest amount. This is extremely particular for those of you that are in here under a year, or if you've been here over a year or two and you're still struggling with your consistency, then that tells me you're paying yourself a salary or income that's higher than the level of activity and dedication you're putting into your own business. And that recipe will take your money down. Your family is the most important thing on here. The reason we do anything is for our family or for our future family. If we don't have families yet, that's okay. But whatever we're looking for in our future, wherever it is, you have to have that why. You have to have that motivation. This is what we're doing. And those key people need to be on board. And it isn't, babe, I'm working. I'm doing what I can. I'm going to grind this week. I'm going to put in the time. We're going to get everything taken care of. They can't operate like that. And what if they were the ones telling you that? Right, Chad? What if they were telling you that? You'd be like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? It's easy to say, this is the minimum amount of money we need to do. These are the things that we don't need at this time. We don't need the premium Spotify membership. Okay. These are the things that we can cut out right now, right? We could stop eating lunch out for $12 a day, 5 days a week, right? These are the things we can cut out. We can grind on the phone with some peanut butter and jelly. These are the things that we can cut out for this amount of time. These are the hours I'm going to put in. This is the lead investment I'm going to be spending, and this is the money I'm going to be making. And when I make that money, I'm not paying us that money. We're going to build up a nest egg that's going to create stability for our family, emotional security, and allow us to think beyond surviving. That's what we're going to be focusing on. So, how we're going to do this, we're going to be setting up some accounts. And I'll just go ahead and start sharing my other thing. I think that will be a little bit easier for you guys. And I promise you guys this, I'm going to be straight for you guys. I care about you probably as much as Jalen and Mike and anybody else. I have a heart for this business. I have a heart for people winning strong. But I'm also want to be real with you guys because I feel like not enough people are real. And so many people come into this business and so many people have this beautiful idea of what we can do. And trust me, this industry has changed my life more than you know. But it's not going to be easy. And the level of success you want, it has to match the level of activity, dedication, and commitment you're going to be putting into this. And a lot of people, we just don't know. We were never taught that. We were taught that. Guess what, guys? You only have to work 2 to 3 days a week. You could just sell a couple calls a day, 2 apps a day for 2,000. I mean, 2,000, and you only had to work a couple days a week. You're pulling in $4,000 a week, and you're spending all this time with your family, which is great. But in the same breath, you can make 400, 500,000 in your own pen. Look at Elver. He wrote 42,000 in 2.5 days. You can do that every 2.5 days. And I just want to be real with you guys. Yes, the success is there, but the struggle's there too. The commitment is there. The things you don't see that doesn't show up on the leaderboard every single week is there. I got a beautiful little whiteboard for you guys. All right, let's get me a little laser pointer there. When we come into this, guys, we're going to make commissions. If we do everything right, we have our mind right, we have our activity right, we're diving into every training available to us, we come together as a community to thrive together, we're going to generate commissions. And this is where we want to start our accounts, okay? I want you guys to have 2 accounts, well, 4 accounts, but you're going to have your personal checking that you have now. Everybody has a checking account now, right? Now, we need a separate business checking account. But here's the caveat. It doesn't actually have to be business. We're nicknaming it business. It can be an additional, we got people moving my stuff now. It can be an additional um, regular checking account. And I would actually prefer that because if regardless of that, you might come to me and say, well, I have to have a full LLC with a business to open a business account. But depending on your bank, there's some limitations when it comes to transferring funds from your business account to your personal checking. And the thing is, guys, if everybody wants to get paid easy and quick, right? So if we want to get paid easy and quick, if you have 2 checking accounts that are linked together, we can transfer to them nonstop. All right, you can get paid the second you want to, right? So we're going to start off with 2 checking accounts. We have a business checking and we have a personal checking. We don't want any commissions for insurance going into our personal checking. That is not for that. We want all of our commissions, every single one of them, to go into our business checking. Once our commissions come in here, one thing we want to focus on is we want to let our commissions accumulate. And what I mean by that is we have our minimum number, okay? And when I started, my number, don't judge me, my number was I had to have $1,000 a week. I'm coming from working 3 different jobs, coming out of college, dead out the wazoo. Actually, I graduated debt free from college because I worked 3 jobs the entire time through college. But we wanted to, when it comes to this, my goal was to pay myself $1,000 a week because I eliminated every other expense. I was driving the tiniest little old Mazda 3 car you can imagine. I'm doing everything I can to buy me enough time to become successful in something greater than myself in this industry. Okay. So the more you can chop down, the more you can sacrifice now, the things you need to do now is going to give you more runway and more confidence and more relief to actually get better at your craft and be successful. So once we have our number, I let all my commissions come in here. And I want to be clear on this, guys. If I wrote 5 grand that week and deposited 3 or 4, if I wrote 10,000 that week, deposited 6, 7, 8, if I wrote 2,000 that week, I paid myself $1,000 regardless. Does that make sense? In order for this to accumulate, our goal here is to put all of our commissions into our business account and let it communicate. The only way we can let it accumulate is we have to grind our butts off early. Does that make sense? You guys are, for those of you that are brand new in this business, you don't have days off, right? Like we have to grind our butt off and we have to dump as much money in this business account as we possibly can. Friends, we're talking about families. So we have to understand, guys, we can't just, when it comes to this business checking, we can't just have a little bit going in here. Like we need a lump sum in here at the beginning. So you need to hustle, you need to call all your friends and family, you need to work leads, leftover leads, you need to be relentless with your follow-up. You get the point. Once we do this, we decide what our minimum number is we allow ourselves to pay. What we can't decide is if I have a really good week and we made 4 grand this week, Kevin, I can't pay myself 4 grand, right? Because guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go get me a new pair of shoes. We're gonna, take my wife out to dinner. Look at us. Like this is, can you believe I made this amount of money this week? This is unbelievable. Great opportunity. And then the next week we write 0, but I bought leads and I'm like, I'm in the negatives a week and you don't even want to tell her that. We can't have that emotional swing and our salary cannot be based upon our emotions. So again, we're committing ourselves to a year. Build that up, we pay ourselves a salary. But when we do, we have to allocate money for taxes. So if you pay yourself a salary, I want 30% of it go to the business tax, which is our business savings account. So I'm going to open up an additional savings account and I have my own personal savings account. So naturally, everybody should have a personal checking and a personal savings. We're going to open up 2 new accounts, a business checking and a business savings. So we have 4 accounts. Is everybody with me on that? Very simple. If I'm going to pay myself a salary, just like you are at any other job, they're going to remove taxes from it and you're going to get what's left over. You do exactly the same thing. It becomes very easy. So if you're going to pay yourself 1,000 for easy math, you pay 700 here to your personal checking and you pay 300 here to your business tax savings. We're allowing this money to accumulate up here. And I want to talk for a second about these thresholds. How many of you guys have never had 10 grand built up in your account just sitting there? This becomes our first mental threshold, okay? And these are psychology based, right? So if you never have, it is feels different. But once you get to that 10 or once you start hovering around that 8 or 9, you're going to naturally relax and you're going to feel a sense of success. You're going to feel a sense of, I got more money than I've ever had, and it's going to be weird. And you're going to kind of almost want to freeze. Okay. So our goal is to set ourselves. If you haven't been to 10, we need to have 10 grand set in that business checking. All right. We need to build that up to 10, knowing we're going to have all of our business expenses and chargebacks are going to be coming out of this account. All right. So if we're buying leads, anything for our marketing, if we're buying a new clipboard or GPS, or if you have to buy, you pay for your CRM or your dialer, that's coming out of this business checking because those are going to be tax write-offs anyways. So we pay only business expenses out of here. We let the money accumulate, and our goal is to start getting to these thresholds. Once we accomplish 10, we have to do everything we can to get to 25. How many of us have not been able to build up to 25,000 in a business account or in our checking account period? This is a hard one to get over. This is where most people fall. Grinding past that 10, it's going to take a mental shift for us to say, I need to go to a different level I've never been before. Once you get to that 25, and I've seen this happen with so many insurance agents, period. So many, depending on where you're at in your stage in life, so many insurance agents really relax at this threshold. This threshold is probably the biggest one that holds people back. Once you start to hover around that 20, that 22, 25, it's almost impossible for them to break 25 because in order to get to 50, you can't just keep doing the same things you're doing, because if you're doing the same things you're doing with the hustle that you started with, because if you have nothing in here, your hustle and your dedication is through the roof. Your activity may be the same, but your mental focus is different. You get to that 2025 and you're doing the same activity, which is great, but your mental have to meter is gone way down. And when that mental meter has gone way down, you become lazier. You let things go more. You take a couple more days off. You're not as disciplined on hitting your daily goal, for which your actual income and commissions have either plateaued or slightly went down, even though maybe your commission percentage has went up because maybe you've hit a couple promotions in that time period. Our goal has to be to break that 25 and get to that 50. There's probably less of you that have hit that 50 in there. Okay. And I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we need to have goals, just like we run for targets, just like we run for awards. These are the mental barriers that it's going to take a different person to hit the different thresholds. And that's going to be our growth. All right. Let's follow this for a second. We're paying ourselves our money. 700 goes here, 300 goes here because our weekly thing that we're paying ourselves on Friday is 1,000. Regardless if we make 10 grand, regardless if we make 2 grand. And what that allows us to do is if I have 25,000 in here, if I get sick for 3 weeks, guess how much I'm making each of those 3 weeks? I'm making $1,000. So it didn't affect me, right? If I tear my ACL, if I something crazy happens to me and I go through some testing, if life happens, regardless, life will happen to every single one of us, I promise you. Whatever happens, I know I have salary for probably 20 weeks in a row if I work or if I don't work. Does that make sense? If you knew that you were getting paid for 20 weeks in a row, regardless if you work or not work, what would that do to you mentally? It would change things, right? More than make you feel good. You would feel stable. You wouldn't go into desperate mode. You wouldn't go into survival mode. This is what this salary does for you. But some of you are thinking, man, if she's got that much in there, can she pay herself more than 1,000? And this is where we have to be disciplined. It's when you have, most people fall out of the business after they have success, not after they're failing and grinding. It's what they do when they actually make their money. So all of our money, our 700 goes to our personal checking. This is where we pay for all of our personal expenses, and we keep the minimum amount to cover our bills. I don't want a bunch of extra money in here. I don't want this money to ever accumulate. Okay. If there is any excess funds, we need to dump that over to our personal savings. So when it comes to the end of the year, I want this to hit these big thresholds, and we will reevaluate after the year. We're not reevaluating in our first year of business. Okay. Nobody gets drastic raises at any job within their first year typically. Okay. And even when they do get a raise, it's 5%. But some of us are thinking, I want to pay myself a 100% raise. I want to double what I'm paying myself. I'm telling you to not do that in your first year. If you can start your first 3 or 4 months on that budget, grind that out for a year, it will change your business. I promise you it will change your business. We're putting any extra money in our personal savings. Now, here I want to ask you guys a question. You have 4 accounts here. How many accounts have your money in it? But one is the answer. So this account here, right here, this is the insurance company's account, right? This is their money on commissions that they have advanced you for premiums they have not yet received from the client that you have sold. This is a holding account for the insurance company. They allow that, they give it to you in advance so you can operate your business on. Do you guys understand that? This is not our money. Jason, this is not your money. Gabe, this is not your money. This is the insurance company's money. When we pay ourselves, right? And we shoot 30% over here for the tax. This is the government's money. This isn't your money. This is the government's money. What happens when we take the government's money? Not good things. All right? This is the government's money. Over here, this is your utilities company's money, your car payment money. These are your bills. These are the companies that you pay when you figure out how to live. The mortgage company who owns your house. The electric company who gives you electric. This personal checking here, this is the utilities company's money, right? This is our electric bill. This is our car payment. Anything that we have a note on, they technically own it until it's paid off. When it's paid off, we make no more payments. So this we have up here, the business checking. This is the insurance company's money. This is the government's money. This is the utility companies and all of your bills' money. And then this one is actually your money. This one is your money, the personal savings. So if we follow this plan for 1 year, guys, I'm not saying doing it forever, but if we follow this plan for 1 year, we should have hit some of these thresholds in our business checking. We have enough money to cover savings. When we do have chargebacks, the chargebacks, and this is very important to note, guys, the chargebacks will come from your next commission statement. So it will come from this money flowing into here. If we don't have a business checking saved, and we don't have thresholds and we're not paying ourselves a salary, and they take this money from your next sale, then we don't have money to then pay ourselves to pay our bills. And this is where agents go out of business. If we allow this money to accumulate, even if they take your next chargeback, which will happen, they take it out of your commissions. So we have no more commissions coming in for a very small period or for just less commissions. It doesn't affect the amount of money that we're getting in our salary. We're getting paid regardless. When we get paid regardless, we also have money up in here because we've allowed it to accumulate. We are able to pay for leads and our business expenses. So our business can keep flowing and our personal bills can keep getting paid, regardless when we have chargebacks or not. When this slows down or speeds up, it doesn't matter because this is the variable that takes people out. So after you do this over the year, you still shouldn't have much money in here because we're just paying our bills and the excess funds goes to our savings. We should have a little bit of money in our savings. What happens to our commissions after we keep them for a year or at least 9 months? This money then becomes our money, right? So that money that we've paid becomes our money, because now it is unchargebackable. They can't take that money back from us because we have earned that actual commission. One of the biggest mistakes agents make in their first year, don't go buy a car, don't go buy a new house, don't go on crazy expenses vacations. Don't do any of that stuff because most likely agents are paying for that stuff with insurance company money. They're paying for it with insurance company's money. But what happens is if you take this money and you pay off your debt, you upgrade your lifestyle, right? Or even if you invest money. But the biggest ones, if you buy a car, you go on vacation, you pay off debts with insurance company's money, and then you get chargebacks, that means your commission stops, but you have no money in here. You can't fund your life, and you can't go back to the people you paid off your debts and say, hey, can I have that money back because I actually paid my debt with insurance company money? And you get what we call a pickle. You get stuck in a pickle and you cannot climb out of it. And now you have $8,000 to $10,000 in debt. You have no money to buy leads. And now you're in risk of rolling that money up and affecting your credit, and you cannot go and make money. That's what we're trying to avoid here. So that's why we don't do that. But after we do this for a year, this is what happens. You're grinding for a year. Your business savings starts to accumulate, probably $30,000 accumulated over here, okay? When you go to actually pay your taxes, all of your business leads and write-off and mileage and expenses, that comes off your taxable income. So what happens is if you have $30,000 allocated for taxes that you do not touch until tax time, but you come to taxes and then you end up paying 10 grand, just for an example, you're a new agent, probably somewhere in the range of 10 grand, but you have 30. You then, after you pay your taxes, you dump 20K into your personal savings. After you pay your taxes, you take the leftover and dump it into your personal savings. You start this over for next year. So you dump 20K into here, and any excess funds, which, to be honest, guys, if you're doing this right, there's not going to be very much money going from your personal checking to your personal savings throughout the year. There's probably not much at all because we're not paying ourselves. If we only need 1,000, I'm not paying myself 2,500 a week because I need this to accumulate to run my business. I have to hit these goals. After we do this for a year, we then take this 20,000 that's over here or however much is over here. Now we pay off the debts. If you've had debts, I promise you they can wait to the end of the year because they've probably been there longer than a year, right? We then pay the debts with that money we know is 100% ours. We have to keep the cash flow for our business. If we have extra money here, or let's say we have no debts, if we pay off our debts here, now we have the opportunity to invest. Now we have the opportunity to upgrade our lifestyle. Now we can pay a car in cash. Does that make sense? But most importantly, once we have this personal savings starting to establish, Again, after a year, I'm not saying your personal savings and these lifestyle upgrades and debt, this cannot happen within your first year of starting a new business. It cannot happen. So once you have this established and you start to have a little nest egg of money over here, at the end of the year, if I have 50,000 or 25,000 accumulated up in this account, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to then pay myself a chunk. All right. I might leave 10 grand in there because that's going to give me 10 weeks worth of leads or 8 weeks worth of leads, whatever your number is. I'm going to put maybe another 10 to 15. I'm going to tax it. I'm going to send it over here and then I'm going to send it here. So I have a lump sum of money now in this personal savings that's going to help my lifestyle. After a year, then we can reevaluate and we can then give ourselves a raise. After a year, we can then give ourselves a raise. We may go from paying ourselves 1,000 a week to maybe 1,500. But I don't recommend going to 1,000 to 5,000 a week. We have to be smart because we need to set our goal of accumulating this. And you might say, why don't we have a goal of 100K over here? Because at the end of the day, if this starts to get up to 50, I'm going to take a large chunk of that and I'm going to move it to my personal savings. I'm going to increase my lifestyle. I'm going to invest it in opportunities and I'm going to make sure I have no debt. This is where our fruition comes into play. This is where we can buy the cars, we can buy the rental property. This is what we do, but it's going to take time. After you do this for 1 year, right? You then can give yourself a raise. If you give yourself a raise, I'm still saying in year two, you can increase your lifestyle, but don't make it dramatic. Don't go crazy with it. I still then you want your excess funds to start flowing over here so you can continue to invest. If you guys are disciplined on this circle for 3 years, this is going to be a game changer here. And you're going to start to understand that I can have you can't live beyond your means is the whole point in all of this. You cannot live beyond your means. So if you're just patient with yourself for the first year, you can give yourself a little boost in year two, get to year three, and then you should have enough money saved up that you can then start boosting your lifestyle and investing in opportunities. And more importantly, shifting your business to growing in a different way, expanding people, investing in trainings. It's going to change. But I just need you guys to get there. What we do with our money is important. The key to all of this, the key to every piece of this is A, we need to have our two business accounts and two personal accounts. We need to have all our commissions flowing into there. And we got to do anything and everything to grind to build up to those first thresholds. And we need to figure out the smallest amount of money we can pay ourselves on a weekly basis to create that. I'll open this up for you guys again to create that stability and mental clarity and allow us to start thriving. I appreciate the time
Exactly.
today. It did. I
Yeah.
was on here a
Mhm.
lot longer than I expected to be. But if you know, that's kind of my MO. I just want to keep going. But
Exactly.
anyways, I appreciate you guys so much.